Okay, I'm back. Just wanted to show you a few more of these orb pictures. Although right now they're not looking like an orb that's round, because they travel and they make all kinds of shapes and get all kinds of colors in them as they travel about. Some of them get big holes in them. This one looks sort of like a honeycomb. And then sometimes they get this unusual little thing that seems to have a bunch of little tiny balls in it. And see, in this one, they look just like they're falling out of one of these dark spots that they're in. Like they're just tumbling out. And then you get orbs that have shapes that just make a right angle and turn and make an edge. They look so much like they have dimension. And look at this one. This one is really unusual with all these little things. And sometimes they don't have a lot of color like this one doesn't. It's more earth tone. But sometimes I get many orbs in one picture. You don't see the artifacts in these orbs because this is taken with another camera that I have that hasn't got anything trapped inside of it as yet. So I just want to go through a few of these and see how right here these two ends coming together, they crisscross and make this little area that looks like that. And here's one that is a circle with a concentric circles around it. And the background looks like it's really just a bunch of little smaller size in the distance circles that are kind of encrusted one upon another. I'm going to put it on pan and zoom and let you just enjoy some of these that go by without talking a whole lot about them. Oh, I've got to talk about this one. I took a series of this one and this orb just twisted and started looking so pretty. Twisted in the middle. I have maybe 1,000 or more pictures of these beautiful things that orbs do and ways they look. I wish I had a place to keep them all so that the public could always see them. I'm thinking about getting a website started so I can put them there. Because when I'm filming them like I'm doing here, you're going to get the Newton rings in there. Because always when you film off of your computer screen, those little Newton rings, they call them, show up. You know, it's sort of like when you look at a screen that has lines that go straight in two different directions. They always make this thing that is called Newton's rings. You can look that up under images and you'll see what I mean. But that's not part of these pictures, even though it might show up in them. That's something that happens when you film things from off of a computer. I do have several albums. If you go to my Google profile, you can see quite a few of the orb pictures I've taken. And you won't see the Newton rings because they're the actual picture, not me filming them, but the actual picture that I posted in albums inside of Google. Now see those lines, they seem like they all hooked up and just twisted together there in the middle. This one was very unusual. It looked like a cocoon and like there was something about to emerge from it. Okay, this is, I'll stop it here on this. Come back. When I was taking pictures of orbs just recently, I started getting this matte finish look to the area of the orb that is violet colored or purple. And this is a close-up of that weave, what it looks like. It reminded me of pictures that they give you a matte finish to. It looks like little lines that cross each other. And I thought that was unusual. About the little things that you see in the air that I told you I can see, the man who built the Coral Castle, Ed Leedskalnin, I don't know how to pronounce his last name so well, but he could carve and lift huge tons of coral, and he built that castle that's called the Coral Castle, and no one ever learned how he did it. Oh dear, I ran out. Back to library. I'll just let it show another series of pictures while I'm talking about Ed. He could see little, what he called beads in the air that seemed to be strung together. I think it was something like what I see. I call them tubes, but they could be called beads because sometimes they're round. And he said it was called, he called it seeing chromosomes. So that happened to him, and he had a great talent. He learned something that must have been the secret of how the pyramids were built. But he died with his secret, and no one ever found it out. I do believe this phenomena of seeing light like this is something that should be studied by people who can do a better job at it than myself, that can set up different experiments and use maybe music in the background or they can think of a lot of different ways than I've thought of so far to get pictures of the orbs to see if they can see anything that is a consistency that they do that might tell them something more about what's going on here. But so far, I have not managed to get the attention of any particle physicist. Trouble is, sometimes scientists of today write something off without really investigating it. They think it's a little bit new agey, and they don't want to go there. But I listen to a lot of people who post videos of their talking about quantum physics, and also people who talk about esoteric things. And I see that there's truth in both of those fields that can come together and be one. Because someday, according to Walter Russell, spirit and science will merge, and what is thought to be science will be also thought to be spiritual. It will be the truth finally revealed to mankind. And I think we're going to find that it is very strange, and that we've all been wrong about it. So much so that nobody can say, well, I was right about most of it, because it is strange. It is like beyond our ability to even imagine strange. So I sound very unscientific as I talk about these pictures of orbs I'm getting, but I can assure you that it's not just something the camera does, and that it is not trickery on my part. For one thing, I don't know how to do any kind of tricks like that with a camera. Well, let's see, I'm at 10 minutes. I can show you a few more. These are kind of interesting here. When they start doing this kind of little thing, they make a design. Let me get that to play. Come on, play. I think I will use the mouse and make it go from one to the other. You see, I've seen with the naked eye orbs that are full of color, and all the color rushes out and falls into another orb, and you can kind of see that here. See how the colors that come off the edge right here on this side of the orb seem to be flowing over the edge and down into another orb. And that's pretty unusual. Now, many people nowadays are getting pictures of orbs, not exactly like the ones I get. Some are getting them where they use the flash of their camera and it makes an orb appear, which sometimes is going to be water or dust or an insect, but not always. Sometimes it's the genuine thing. It's a real orb. I have friends that her mother, the father passed away, and they were having some kind of a engagement where they were posing for a picture and they wanted her father to be in it, so they asked him, even though he had passed on. Well, when they got the picture made, an orb showed right where his face would have been standing there with them. And they believe to this day, and I do too, that that was their father as an orb posing with them in that picture. Sometimes I get such fluorescent colors. It's just amazing, and it's really beautiful. These were very fluorescent looking. And look at all these circles that are interference concentric circles with other concentric circles all meshed together there. Oh, let me get out of here because now I got into my dogs. We have some dogs. And you might see a chicken now and then because I'm always taking their pictures. Dogs and chickens and orbs is mostly what I take pictures of. Oh, here's an interesting one. One day, this ring right here started being in the orbs. It was in the ones that first emerged from the light and then even further out. And I just kept noticing it. It only came in that one day. But you can see it very clearly. It's definitely a thick ring that looks lumpy. I just kept taking picture after picture of it. Didn't show up in all of these, but it was in the pictures that day, and only that day. No other day have I caught that again. And there's my little friend Harry. He's always showing up in my orb pictures. He has a long protruding appendage on this left-hand side of him. Sometimes I won't be able to get the entirety of it because it sticks out real far. And all the little parts of his body seem to just float around him. Oh, I must be in my album that's called Harry. Oh, here's the ring that showed up that day. Here it is again.